everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Smalzie Zoo. My name is Nisse and today we are back in Smalzie Zoo where we are gonna build for the smallest wallaby in the world, being the Parma Wallaby. We need to give it a little friend in here just to have a little more life and a little more dimension, having something very small on the ground along with something climbable. So we are gonna put the koala in here as well. So if you want to see how I built this or just to learn a little more about these beautiful animals, then please keep watching. Wow, I just heard the intro myself and I really hope my voice is better now than when I recorded that. Sorry, I accidentally slept with an open window and I'm one of those people who's not getting sick, but I can just feel it right away. So yeah, watch, my throat's a little scratchy and I felt a little cold and a little hot and then a little cold again, but I'm still wanting to make this video, so I hope you can live with my voice as is. But as you probably noticed in the intro, I will focus more so on the Parma Wallaby than I will on the koala in here today, but that is primarily because I have built for the koalas so many times already and I have so many videos out on them. If you want to hear a little bit about them or see why I built as I did, I will of course talk about them in the building part of today, but focus more of the information of the Parma Wallaby because I never heard about them before I saw the mod, so I just felt right away that it was something I needed to build for. And looking at the views of the video, it actually also seems like a lot of you guys like the mod, so thank you for that. And yeah, here it is. It is so cute. And I will say that I'm not the person who normally, just because something is smaller, that it necessarily is cuter. I do not necessarily find a Chihuahua more cute than a Great Dane. I really love Great Danes. But just to be aware, that's not the only cuteness factor. It have a more rounded body, not really. It have a normal body. When they lay flat, you can actually see that their body is quite normal compared to other wallabies, but when they're sit, they kind of just roll their backs out and they seem extremely round. Their facial feature are more like what's it called, more mousy looking, I would say. And they're just so cute looking. It looks like they have a lot of fluff from the neck area and down compared to the features in the face, just making the face look very, very small comparatively. And the ears are very triangular, though rolled, so in the bottom they do seems more narrow than they can do on the middle. They have this lighter coloration on the belly and then this wild coloration on the back that will normally appear brown but will have multiple layers. Shortest fur light, then a medium length fur that is the thickest fur that is brown, and then these very, very thin, longer black or dark hairs. They are quite beautiful, quite beautiful. The hair on the tail is more like a mouse or a rat's, where the fur is just, it is there, but it's like very, very little of it that is there. When you are the smallest of your kind out in the world, size kind of matter. These weigh typically between 4 and 5 kilos, but they can range from 3.2 to 5.8 kilos, that being 7 to 12.8 pounds. So it's a really big span of weight between the smallest and the biggest. I will mention though that this is not much bigger than most cats. Again, cats can also vary a lot in size, but my house cats have both been weighing more than these wallabies do. It is about 1 meter long. This is not their height, this is their length with tail and all, which here there's something around with this website's calculator, because it says 2 feet and 1 meter is 3.3 feet, so something clearly wrong here. But luckily, because they are so small, I actually only make the fence a meter, again 3.3 feet, which may be a little tall for the shortest kids, but I believe then they're still a size where their parents probably will lift them up so they can see. I think it's important that the wallabies have this firm fence because it's very, very open, so it's important that down in their height it's closed off. However, looking at it now, it probably should have been a little higher because of the koalas, but we're not gonna mention that today. We're just gonna pretend it's fine. I'm also gonna put various plants in here to hide between. Of course, we will have some trees for the koalas. Mostly they're feeding trees, but also some other trees. But then a few bushes and so the wallabies can move around the habitat but still be behind stuff, so they don't feel like they are being watched by a big predator or anything like that. Of course, because they would be in captivity and probably born in captivity, they would be more used to people around than if they were in the wild. They are of course wallabies, and therefore they are from Oceania. They are from Australia, and then they've been introduced to New Zealand. They live in the forest biome in the tropical and temperate climate zones. And this is where it kind of becomes a little more funny, because a lot of wallabies live on these more open plains, but because they are so small, they can very easily move around between the trees. So of course I could, if I would, have made this a much more thick, luscious forest, but I have two things to kind of work around. One being that we actually are in a temperate zoo, so it would be more difficult to have all of the humidity for a lot of tropical plants in here. And at the same time, I also want the guests to actually be able to see where the wallabies are. Also keep in mind of the fact that they don't use the trees for anything. Koalas do, of course, but the wallabies don't need the trees for anything specific. It's just their habitat and their shelter, of course. But it don't give them any kind of food source or anything like that. Yes, there can be fruit falling for the trees and stuff like that in the wild, but in captivity they will not need these trees for anything, since everything is pretty much handed to them. In zoos, you will most likely see most wallabies in groups, and you can also see here I have quite a big group of them in here. Though in the wild they are actually solitary creatures and will spend most of the day sleeping under covers. They are nocturnal animals, though not one of the kinds that you will only see at night, and most of them will also be active either at dawn or at dusk. They will though be most active around dusk, just when the sun comes down, or dawn when the sun just go up, and less active through the middle of the night. When they wake up, they will gather in smaller groups, not to actually socialize. We're talking 2 or 3 individuals, but simply of the fact that they live in the same area and eat in the same area. So just practically, if you go down shopping, then you will probably be around other people, but you are not there to socialize. They are bipedal, being 2-legged animals. They have 2 legs and 2 arms/hands, and this pulled them a little bit apart from other animals, though we also have other wallabies, kangaroos, and even the koalas that kind of have the same thing going on, though these are actually better than most at balancing their walk, so they will not only hop forward, but they will also be able to actually just walk one step at a time, where a lot of wallabies are much more secure hopping along. They will of course also hop because it is in their nature, and It seems like they have fun doing it, so why stop? But they will be able to make a more like wobbly walk. I will say though, when they stand or simply sit, they will be three-legged, using their tail, putting it on the ground as a third leg. So they again will be perfectly balanced and free to use their hands to whatever, eating, picking, nursing their kid, whatever they need. As you can see here with the flowers I put in here, they have two functions, and one being just to bring in some life. All of this is green and in the shadow, so I needed some lighter variations in here. But they will also build these paths, since wallabies will simply hop and walk in this very heavy manner, and even though they are not big and heavy like other wallabies, they can still kick off the dirt and sand, and therefore in the path they walk, they will most likely destroy the vegetation underneath, just as we actually also do when we walk, though we walk a little more carefully, but we are heavier, so it kind of evens out. So these zookeepers will of course also be a part of building these paths. Which is also why that when farmers actually make a field for their horses or pigs or whatever animal to live on and walk around this den all the time, then they actually pick specific grasses that are much stronger, and if they either get chewed down or kicked up, then the root is really strong and will try to grab on and really stay there, where most grasses that you would have in your own garden or just outside on the street or something like that are not that strong at all. As we have talked about before, a lot of animals actually have a highly developed way of communicating. I won't call it speech because it isn't always verbal, and for the wallabies here we have a quite unique way of communicating. So we have visual cues and we have verbal cues. And most of the visual cues, that would be wagging the tail, quivering, foot stomping, they will all be signs of aggression. But other verbal clues like clucking or coughing, or even making a small hissing sounds will be more like communicating with their friends. Again, they are not having friends like some other animals, but animals they at least get along with. It can still be kinds of small aggressive, especially the hissing, but it can just as well be like, okay, that's mine, that tuft of grass right there, where the wagging tail and stomping feet are more like, you are getting on my last nerve now. In nature, it's not always fun to be the smallest one, and especially when it comes to predators, because Oceania in general have a lot of introduced predators such as feral cats and foxes, but also bigger animals that are native there as dingoes can easily snatch up one of these wallabies much easier than any of the others. So I understand this fact, but it's still an issue. Furthermore, they live in the forest, so of course their habitat is being destroyed either by timbering or fires or anything in that pursuit. Therefore, it is first of all difficult to give a specific number of the wallabies. It is estimated by the IUCN Red List to be between 1,000 and 10,000 individuals, but then again, this is guesswork, clearly with that big span. So therefore they are listed as near threatened, but if we at some point could get a more specific number of them, then we would probably get a better idea of where on the list they do belong. Because if there's only 1,000 left, near threatened is not good enough. They should be listed as endangered or at least vulnerable. But is there 10,000, then yeah, it probably will enough to put them at near threatened. No matter what, they need help, and hopefully a lot of people out there are starting to see more of this and understand this better, and therefore a lot of people are working to save them. Therefore, I have left a link below to Aussie Ark where you can shop and donate and whatever you want. And they originally worked to save the Tasmanian devil, but now it's all Australian animals they try to go in and give a more stable future. If you want to be a part of that, the link is there, but no pressure from me. Okay guys, that's all I got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. And as always, you know the drill. Like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye guys.